Hello, I'm Angela Kane, and I am a storyteller. I have written and produced thousands of video stories and even hour-long community issue specials as a former television news anchor, journalist, and an entrepreneur. And here's what I've learned. Our lives are built on stories. Nothing has the power to connect us across digital platforms like social media, print platforms such as books and news articles, or face-to-face in conversations like our stories. And purpose-driven businesses, building stories that serve communities, help solve people's problems, and add to the greater social good, make emotional connections with their audiences that can attract more engaged and loyal customers. You can change your business, and sometimes even change lives and communities, through your stories. Even our own personal stories have the power to change us. My story, some of the stories that I wrote as a journalist, helped change my life. They led me to do something unimaginable many years ago. There were many people who thought I was making a big mistake, but I chose not to renew a longer-term contract in one of the nation's top television news markets, the fifth largest viewing population in the nation, where I was an evening news anchor, health reporter, and host of a weekend talk show. I was also in the running at the time to be a co-host of a show on a national cable news network, and I said goodbye to all of it. I had just completed the most challenging news assignment in my career, a 30-part series on cancer to help debut a new 4 p.m. newscast. And those stories were an epiphany for me. When you profile people staring down the monstrous and menacing diagnosis of cancer, some surviving and some succumbing to the disease, you will get a sharper focus on what matters most in life. The stories they shared with me of triumph over cancer, or even the strength they showed when facing the end of their lives, changed me. They touched me. Their stories prompted me to review my life purpose, my why, and I knew that I wanted to raise my little girl closer to my big, beautiful family in the Ohio and Indiana area. Family matters most. And I also knew that I no longer wanted to be a news anchor reporting on a lot of the bad news, the crime that often leads newscasts nationwide. I wanted to report on more of the good news, the inspirational, life-affirming stories that happen in communities every day, the stories that portray our common humanity. So I gave up that top 10 news market anchor career and started zeroing in on my life purpose, my why, as I said. I wondered how I could best use the skills or talents I'd been given to serve others more, to have an impact in my own way in people's lives. Have you ever been there? Have you ever wondered, why am I here? There has to be more to life, a way that I can do what I love but also contribute to others. It wasn't easy walking away from a top 10 news market job and the best news director I ever had. She believed in my talents in a way that no one ever did, challenging me, giving me challenging assignments that made me a better reporter and writer. By the way, she went on to become the first black woman to lead a broadcast network news operation, hired as the president of ABC News in 2021. What a story she has. But I'm not going to lie. I went through some financial struggles through transition. I was down on my knees a few times praying that I had made the right decision. But rewriting my life story ultimately led me back to Indianapolis, Indiana, closer to home in a city where I once served as a news anchor too. This time, I took an on-air position as a community affairs director at an NBC affiliate. And then I started really living my life and career purpose. For several years, I was honored to tell the good stories in communities, profiling the nonprofits that are changing lives every day, leading all of the station's community service campaigns, writing and producing hour-long television news specials for a 12-year campaign that I created called Shattering the Silence. That campaign led domestic abuse victims to resources for hope and healing, and may have helped them rewrite their stories. And I shared many stories of our community's heart and our common humanity. Today, I'm writing a new chapter after my media career ended. We can always rewrite our life and career stories, by the way. It is never too late. I'm pursuing my purpose today as an entrepreneur, telling the stories of purpose-driven businesses. Commercial businesses that donate time, talent, and money to nonprofits. Foundations that help ensure everyone has an equitable chance to get a higher education. Nonprofits that help children who face abuse and neglect find a safe home, and more. Here's what I believe. We get this one beautiful life, at least here on this earth. We should use it to love each other, care about each other, and have an impact. That's my story of impact and purpose, and to tell the stories of purpose-driven businesses and people. So I ask you, what is your life story? What is your business's story? What purpose are you pursuing, and what legacy do you want to leave? Our stories make emotional connections with audiences. They build relationships, they build clients, and sometimes stories even change lives. They did for me, and there are stories still unwritten that need to be told. Tell your stories. Rewrite your stories in life and career. Our stories matter most.